Hello friends and welcome to your headstand tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to go from this, flailing around, jumping into your headstand, guessing, not really sure what you're doing, to this, feeling confident and precise, feeling strong and knowing how to get into your headstand. Stick around for all of my tips and tricks and you're going to learn how to get into a headstand. We're going to begin with our foundations, which is at the crown of our head, our hands and our elbows. So when it comes to the crown of our head, a lot of people tend to guess where they are meant to put, what part of their head is meant to touch the ground. And sometimes that can be a bit dangerous if it's too far back or a bit too far forward. So I'm going to teach you how to get it right, or roundabout right. And the way we do this is by creating a telephone with our hand, so tucking these 3 fingers in, leaving out your thumb and your pinky, placing your thumb in between your eyebrows and allowing your pinky to touch the top of your head. So wherever your pinky lands is round about where is going to touch the ground in your headstand. The second thing we want to think about is our hands and our hand placement. So we want to interlace the fingers, and you can either do it this way with just the hands and fingers interlaced, or you can tuck the pinkies under. This is my personal favorite way to do a headstand because when my pinkies are tucked, I feel like I have a good solid base and a flat foundation, so the hand is nice and flat. Whereas when it's untucked, it feels less stable and I find that it crushes my little pinkies when it's untucked. So I like to tuck them in. So give it a go, interlacing your fingers, tucking the pinkies under and untucking them. You can try both ways and see what feels better for you. The next thing is our elbows. So we want our elbows to be about shoulder distance, and the way we do it is the way I'm showing you now. It looks a bit like an Aladdin type pose. So we're gonna bring opposite hands to opposite elbows, and this is gonna give you a roundabout shoulder distance. The reason we don't want it to be any wider is because if your elbows slip out too much, then it can make your foundations very unstable. It can make you unbalanced. You might topple over. You won't feel safe. You won't feel balanced or centered. So we want to keep the elbows around shoulder distance, hands interlaced, pinkies tucked, and the crown of our head touching the ground. So that is how to set yourself up for a headstand. Now that we know how to set ourselves up for our headstand, let's head to the mat so that we can put it into practice. And if this is your first time or you've tried headstand before and you feel very unstable, then I recommend practicing against a wall so that if you do have a little fall to the other side, the wall is there to catch you. So I will meet you on the mat in a second and we're going to go through the next steps. Let's put what we've learned into practice, creating the telephone with our hand. Thumb in between the eyebrows, pinky finger on the crown of our head. So that's the spot we want to touch the ground. And then we're going to work out our elbow distance, which is about shoulder distance. Interlace the hands, tuck the pinkies under if you want to, and place your hands and arms on the mats, close to the wall. Placing the crown of your head down on the ground, maybe walking the knees away slightly so you have a bit more space. The first thing we want to think about here is finding a counteracting action with our head and our hands. So we want to press our head into our hands and our hands into our head as much as possible. This is going to create stability for our head so it's not able to roll around. And this is going to protect our neck. The next thing we want to do is press our forearms into the ground. When you press your forearms into the ground, you'll feel a little lift in your shoulders and maybe your head even starts to lift further away from the ground. This is going to place the least amount of pressure into our head and neck, and it's going to protect our head and neck. So once you've got this down and you're ready to move on, tuck your toes under and lift your knees. You are welcome to stay here for as long as you like until you've nailed this. This is a very strengthening pose, so no worries if you struggle here. Then we will begin to walk the feet towards the face, so much so that our hips will stack over our shoulders. Then we'll begin to feel a little light in the legs. You may want to lift one foot at a time. What we want to avoid doing is jumping, because this means we have less stability, less control, and less strength in our headstand. So you want to walk the feet towards your face until you can feel that float. Then you want to walk your feet towards your face until you feel an almost floating sensation with the legs. And walking your feet in like this is no easy feat. It takes hamstring flexibility, it takes hip and core strength and mobility. So I'll show you a few poses to help you build strength and flexibility. For hip flexibility, you can do leg lifts, or you can try a boat pose, which also strengthens your core. Knees can be bent or knees can be straight. I forgot to mention that shoulder strength is also very important for your headstand. So we're going to practice dolphin pose to build strength in our shoulders, but also equally it can build flexibility in those hamstrings. If you struggle with flexibility of the hamstrings, but you feel like you have the strength, you can also grab some blocks, as you can use the blocks to give you a little bit of added height, and maybe you'll find that float a little bit easier. And before you go, I've got a couple more tips to treat you with. The first one is staggered legs. I find that staggered legs are a lot easier to find your balance in than straight legs. So I'd recommend practicing staggered legs against the wall and then working your way up to straight legs. And the last thing is practice, 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 practice. The more you practice, the more you won't fear the pose. And because I know that's one big thing for people, especially it was for me, fear. So the more you practice, the more your body won't be in fear, the more your mind won't be in fear of the pose. And also your body will start to remember, kind of like muscle memory. It will remember what it's like to be upside down, how to find its balance, and it will become easier over time. So I hope you found this helpful. Let me know in the comments if you did, if it's unlocked something for you. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.